Hello, you're so welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Sarah Louise Leather, and I'm thrilled to be back with you again. And the title of today's podcast is You Were Made for More Than This. And one thought that came to me this morning when I was doing my journaling, it's a bit of a non-negotiable with me. In the IQW Academy, I ask nearly every day, what's your non-negotiable you're working on this week? And we basically are layering on week after week a new non-negotiable. So they build on each other. The non-negotiable really for the first 30 days is just don't drink. Just don't drink. And we talk about other ones about how to, what to drink instead, how to use your mind instead when you're so used to spending all your time overthinking, drinking. But I had just such a huge sense of gratitude when I was journaling this morning. Journaling is one of my non-negotiables that I have had for many, many years, and it really helps me to have a much better life after wine. And one thing that I wrote down in my journaling was I was made for this. I was used to have a thought when I was drinking, when I would wake up feeling a bit groggy, lacking in clarity, feeling blah, very often on Friday, Saturday, Sunday mornings. And a thought I had then was I'm sure I was made for more than this. I know I was made for more than this. And this is what that's why I called this podcast, You Were Made for More Than This. So I just said a big no to waking up feeling less than. And we need to get to a stage where we take a bit of an inventory of our lives. And most of my clients inside the academy will say the same thing, that they've been on a stop-start cycle for at least a few months, many a few years, and some, like me, about a decade and a half of stopping and starting. And actually, if I was really honest, it's been since my early 20s, and I'm going to be turning 58 this year. So a big chunk of my life. There was a lot of times earlier on when I just stopped really, really easily because of circumstances. When I met my husband, he didn't drink at all. He'd never drunk. And I had never come across anybody who didn't drink before. I thought that was really weird, and it was great. And we met in Sydney in Australia. He was there on a working holiday from Ireland. He was on day 2 of his first year, his only year. At that time, you can only go to Australia for a year from another country. And a couple of months later, we bought a camper van and we went traveling around Australia for the best part of the remainder of his year. And because he didn't drink at all, I'm just like, I won't drink either. And to tell you the truth, at the time, I was kind of sick of it. I was sick of the nightclub scene, the pub scene, the going out, drinking too much, meeting people who could never remember meeting you afterwards or remember your name or anything else, and behaving in ways I didn't like behaving, and certainly feeling pretty horrible when I was getting up early the next morning and going to work. It was a horrible cycle, and I was very disillusioned at the time. I wasn't sure. I knew I didn't want to be a nurse forever, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted my own business, but I had no idea how that would look. Coaching wasn't even a thing then. It didn't even exist. The closest thing to it was personal development, which I ended up doing quite a lot of in my mid and late 20s before we had our first child. But at that time when I was traveling, and then when I did have my first child, I naturally stopped then. Although in those days we were told we could have a couple of drinks a couple of times a week. It's very different now. Now it's very, very clear that there's no safe limit in pregnancy. There's actually no safe limit at any time, whether we're pregnant or not. But in those days, we were told we could drink a couple of times a week and it wasn't a problem. And it went on like that there were stages in my life where I just didn't drink for big chunks of time usually because of situations and circumstances. And it was really only in my 30s when I started really wanting a couple of drinks every night. It was the time of being very busy with loads of young children and busy lives and buying our first house and moving across the world several times and trying to keep up with what life was meant to be like, working and usually studying and mothering and wifing and sistering and friending and doing all the things that we're expected to do. And it's just effing exhausting. And having a couple of drinks was to look forward to at the end of the day was, to me, I thought, my birthright. I thought, like, this is what's going to get me through. And so many of those days of having young children were less than because of the alcohol, not from having the children. I thought it was the situation and circumstance at the time, but it wasn't. It was my thought that I can't get through this. I can't cope with this. I can't cope with these really dodgy hormones, which now looking back, I know I had postnatal depression, but it was just like, oh, we were told, we were advertised to. The sort of mummy wine culture started back then of being told, like, this is what we deserve. I used to see my parents come home every night from work at 5:30. They'd drive in the driveway. They'd go and pour a glass of wine. They'd sit down, have a glass of wine and a cigarette, and they'd just have this big sigh of, oh, that's better now. That's what I got from it, watching it. That was my perception from watching that, from watching them. And my perception as a young person and then as a teenager was like, oh, that's what I get to do. That's adulting. That's what grown-ups get to do. That's pleasure. That's how grown-ups enjoy themselves. And I just couldn't wait to be. In my mind, that was when I turned 16. When I turned 16 is when I started smoking, and I was already drinking at that age. And then it was my permission slip. And I thought that's what it meant. But looking back now, it wasn't actually an expression of happiness in my parents, but we won't get into that right now. But it's our perception of where alcohol is in society can cause us so many, what we call in coaching, thought errors. They are thought errors to think like we need alcohol to enjoy ourselves. I think that's one of the biggest thought errors that we have. And that's the work of my academy, is changing that thought, because whatever we repeatedly think, we start believing. And when you have a deep-seated belief, me from quite a young age as a child, of believing that's how grown-ups enjoy themselves. They pour something into a glass and everything's better. Then the evening is far more enjoyable. And there's probably another couple of glasses that flow on after that. And that's how they enjoy themselves. It becomes, we're watching other people's habits, but then it becomes a habit with our thoughts first. And then it becomes a habit in reality, in the physical sense. So I want you to take inventory of what comes between you and what you really want in life, the life that you really, really desire. What's in between that? Is it the habitual pouring of the wine a few nights of the week, one night of the week, every night of the week? In Stephen Pressfield's wonderful book called The War of Art, he said that there's the life that you live, then there's the intended life in you, the unlived life in you. I'm going to say that again, because I wrote this down earlier and I can't read my own writing. There's the life you live, and then there's the unlived life in you. And I'd love to know what comes up for you when I say that, because we face this every time we drink. Every time we drink, we are facing the unlived life in us. And that's why I called this podcast, You Were Made for More. I was made for more. You were made for more. We were all made for more than this. So what's unlived in you? The answer certainly isn't in the glass, just like it wasn't with my parents when they poured it into their glass every day, and it certainly wasn't for me when I started that habit too. It starts, the unlived life in you starts when you put that glass down for the last time and put something in it that doesn't have a dangerous poison. that hasn't got a class 1 carcinogen in it. I asked in the academy a couple of weeks ago, I asked everyone to just share some things that are their favourite things about their life after wine. I included mine, and there are lots of different ones. And I've also I did a post recently on Instagram about that and got lots of replies. So I'm just going to share a few with you. So this is mine, the first 3 are mine. Waking up, not hating myself, and thinking I'm kind of great instead, because we're all kind of great. Waking up with a clear head. We have a clear head and energy for all the things. Even, I'm going to add on to that, even if I haven't had a great night's sleep, I still feel amazing. Real connections with my partner, real connections with my kids, real connections with my friends, and most importantly, real connections with myself. I really believe when we're drinking, we're separating from ourselves. We are disconnecting from the most important and the most intimate relationship of our lives. We walk around with ourselves all day long. We take ourselves to bed every night, and we take our minds with us everywhere. And if that relationship is being separated from what you're pouring into the glass, well, then I just want to say to you, you were made for more than this. So some other favorite things: life after wine, being more present for myself, being more present with my friends, having no FOMO when I go down the wine aisle, having greater compassion for anyone who is addicted or living with someone with addiction, not having to think about driving home, sweet sleep, not having to worry that I might be damaging my health, feeling strong, feeling empowered, feeling invincible, being connected to me, being connected to all of me, having ultimate choice and not being controlled by a substance, and getting away from frequent feelings of shame, getting away from feelings of feeling negative, my day not ending in the middle of the afternoon. Oh, and that's so like that, pouring that first drink, whether it's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, your day kind of ends there, doesn't it? Like, it really is. So it's great that the day doesn't end. Like, quite often now I'd look at the clock and go like, oh, it's 8 p.m. at night, and I'm still sort of maybe doing things and enjoying myself. And sometimes it's just tight cleaning the kitchen, but I'm present with what I'm doing, and I know now I have the agency over my own brain, that I can actually enjoy every experience and it doesn't shut me down. And I don't need a drug to get through day-to-day stuff. So a few others: not harming my health, not turning against myself, sleeping better. That one's come up quite a few times. Just feeling better about me. Yeah, I absolutely love those. And if you have some to add to the list, feel free to share it with me. And I just want to leave you with this of, if you were made for more, what would your relationship with alcohol be like? Is it time for you to quit wine? If it is, if you're wanting help to stop, to stay stopped, or to have a much better life after wine, I invite you to join us in the IQW Academy. It's actually called IQW Academy, so no one seeing it would have any idea what it stands for. So it's which is great, because I think we all need to choose how much we share about this journey with everybody. And it's great to be able to, I mean, to keep it anonymous, but, you know, just so you can decide when and who you share it with. So if somebody else sees it written down, you don't need to worry about it. And the academy is like, this morning I was just sharing my breakfast. I made these gorgeous savory like little muffins and things, because I'm always talking about wellness and nutrition inside the academy alongside all sorts of other things. And it's so important how we fuel ourselves. It really helps decrease cravings, really helps to balance our hormones and and really to make us just feel so much better, and it makes the whole journey more enjoyable, and it makes us healthier. And so I shared what I was making for my breakfast, and I shared the recipes and the ingredients and stuff. I used to teach gourmet cooking classes, vegetarian gourmet cooking classes, even though I'm not vegetarian anymore, but everything can be adapted for that as well. And I've made some gorgeous protein bars that I've just popped them in the fridge now, so I'm going to be sharing that one later today as well. And we really do have the most amazing time in the group. And the group it's certainly not all about me. There are the most incredible rock stars in the group that some of them have like really, really long periods of not drinking, that stopped drinking years ago. Some are just stopping drinking now. Quite a few have got 90 days without alcohol and are carrying on, because it's way more fun to do it with others on the same journey, because everybody gets it. It can be really hard as you navigate your day-to-day life to find people that really do get it, that don't think that, this is just a little phase. You're just going to do it for a couple of weeks and then you'll be back on it. You're just doing it for a month. You're just doing it for dry January or dry July or sober October or something, and then you're just going back to it. This is about the really having just such a better life on the other side of wine. And I say wine, but it counts for all kinds of alcohol, because really life is so much better on the other side of it. So if you want to join us, we have there is just so much goodness inside the program. Yes, the 90-day program is being built out, and that's a sort of a step-by-step process of how to have a much better life after wine. But it's the community. It's the community. The same with, I find from being a coach for so long, I find when I create communities that people come for the content, they stay for the community. And with the IQW Academy, you're joining a 90-day program, but you can stay for as long as you like, up to 12 months. And if it keeps going after that, well, then you'll get an invitation for another 12 months if that's what you want. Some will be done within a few months. They'll be like, yep, I have everything I need, but you're not kicking anybody out. You can come in and you can cozy up and have a wonderful time and really, really enjoy your life after wine. We've got sections in there where people are sharing resources, sharing books they're reading, sharing podcasts they're listening to, sharing articles they're finding. I shared a beautiful email I got this morning from someone whose list I'm on, and it actually had nothing to do and everything to do with alcohol. It didn't mention alcohol, but it was so beautifully written. I just wanted to share it, and everybody loves it. So it really is the most beautiful space. And there is especially if you're listening to this now, whenever you're listening to this, whatever price it's at is going to be the lowest price it's ever going to be at. And at the moment, it's less than half price. It's actually less than half the full price, and it's still incredible value for what you receive and the support that's there for you. You'll get your money back within very, very soon, from not just from not spending money on alcohol, but from what's available to you to create in your life once you overcome this. It really is amazing. So I'm going to leave you with that. If you want to join us, pop along to iQuitWine.com/IQWA, standing for I Quit Wine Academy, IQWA, and I'll pop the link in the show notes as well. We would love to invite you in. You can contribute as much as little as you want, and you can sit back when you first join and just watch what goes on, or you can dive on in and just really enjoy the process, because it is way more enjoyable when you're doing it with other like-minded women from all over the world. And it really is really, really beautiful. It would be a privilege and an honor to have you join us. Okay, bye for now. I'll be back with you really, really soon.